The history of Los Angeles isn't always easy to find, and it seems that it exists only in small pieces around the Los Angeles area. Well, one of those pieces is right here off of busy Sepulveda Boulevard in the San Fernando Valley. And today, it's the subject of History to Go. Hi, I'm Ted Faye, and I like finding history. It can be in a museum, a hotel, a park, inside or outside, in a church, a house, a store, and of course old buildings and even ghost towns. Wherever there were people, they made history. So I've set out to find those cool places and things that have a great past. Just think of me as your history delivery guy who brings you new and fresh servings of history to go. The Andres Pico Adobe is home to the San Fernando Valley Historical Society. There, I met up with its president, Ron Van Diest.
And our relationship to this building really starts back in 1965. At that time, there was plans to demolish this building and develop this property. We turned to the city council, and eventually the city did acquire the land and the Adobe. And they gave the authority to the Historic Society to occupy the building and set up a local history museum.
So they've really made some efforts to make sure that the building is in good shape, to make sure it's taken care of, that sort of thing?
They have. We worked in very close collaboration with the Department of Recreation and Parks.
The objects that we see in here, are they the cities or are they the historical societies? What's the relationship?
Everything in the building belongs to the Historical Society. And while they're not furnishings that are original to the house, they are representative of a period probably from 1870 through 1900.
Speaking of the house, I understand there's somebody who can really tell us about this house.
Oh, absolutely. Midge is our curator.
I think I'd like to catch up with her. Let's do that.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, you're Midge.
Yes.
And I was told that you're the person I needed to talk to if I wanted to find out the story of this house.
Perhaps. Yes.
Well, good. Who builds this building? Who built it?
Mission Indians, actually.
The
were
Mission
the one,
Indians.
Yes.
So
yeah.
it was connected to the San Fernando Mission,
Oh,
which
yes.
is just right up the street.
That's
here.
exactly right.
Yeah, very close.
They owned the property.
The mission owned the property, so it was part of the mission.
Yeah, it was sold to support the Mexican and American War in the early days, and then the Picos bought it. Andres Pico bought it, I think, for $14,000, the whole San Fernando Valley.
Wait, hold on a second. Hold on a second. The entire San Fernando Valley was bought for how much?
$14,000.
For $14,000. All you real estate folks out there, listen up. $14,000 could have gotten you the whole San Fernando Valley in what year?
1834.
Around 1834. Yeah. What's one of the oldest images we have of the Adobe way back when?
It would be this picture, and it looks pretty bad, doesn't it?
it looks in pretty rough shape.
Yes.
It does. And there's a story behind that painting, right?
There really is. And if you just bring that one down, if you notice there, it says Claude Wiseman. And Claude Wiseman actually was a policeman.
Okay.
And he had been shot in a service station holdup. See, that isn't new.
Oh, my goodness.
And he was recovering, convalescing, and you can see him right there.
So he is here, and we see him in this picture, and
Yes.
he's painting the picture that we have right here above the mantle.
That's exactly right.
It really gives us a great connection.
I think
right?
so.
But Midge, I also heard that there's some legends and mysteries about this place. And I heard there's somebody who knows a lot about that. Who is that?
That's Dr. Richard Doyle, and he will be able to tell you some very interesting stories.
You are Dr. Doyle.
That is correct.
and I've heard you're the guy that has some of the stories about the people that lived here. So can you tell us about those people? And understand these are the pictures that we need to know about.
Well, this is the man, Andres Pico. This Adobe building is named after him because he owned it, not because he lived here. He lived in the Convento building. It's the long building over at the Mission, a quarter of a mile away.
I see.
which has all the arches.
And it faces San Fernando Mission Boulevard right there.
He carried on there quite well. He had lavish parties and bullfights and things in the patio area of the mission.
Wow.
He had a son, and he adopted the son. But this is the girl, 14-year-old girl that married his 37-year-old son.
Hold on a second. Did you just say a 14-year-old girl married the 37-year-old son?
Yeah, that was quite common in those days. Girls got to be 14 and they were married.
They lived here how long then?
Well, we know that they lived here at least 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
I asked Dr. Doyle about the mysterious legend surrounding the mission and the adobe.
So there are lots of course, tales that there was so much money and gold around that...
Did you just say gold? Because people are interested in gold, like lost gold. So I heard that there was a legend that there was actually gold hidden here somewhere in tunnels between this house and the mission, that people were, the Indians were transporting gold that they had found, is that right?
Well...
But those legends about the lost gold or the gold at the mission and that sort of thing, that has actually led people to do some exploration, right?
Yes, especially around here. And in this house even, they dug holes in the floor. And they dug holes along the way where they thought there was an underground tunnel. Can you imagine a tunnel going a quarter of a mile through clay dirt and so on? I don't know how they could have held up.
People seem to want to really go into the underground and find that gold.
Right.
Right. You mentioned also that maybe somebody had passed away here and that there's some belief that the place might be haunted.
Well, the story is this Katerina came back here for some reason or other and died here.
And so because she died here, is there a story that she still haunts the place?
Oh yes, Elva Molina had stories like that. She was a former live-in curator here who used to hear doors open and close and creaking on the stairs. And she told me, I mean, she was still alive in my time, and said that she made peace with her. And she just said, okay, Catalina, we can live together. And after that, it was quite quiet.
So nobody's ever heard from Katerina since then? Has anybody recently ever seen her?
No, we haven't heard any. So Elva's deal apparently is still holding.
So the deal is still holding and the hauntings have stopped.
Yes.
Dr. Doyle, thank you so much for all of this information that I had no idea about the Picos. And I understand there's some other interesting artifacts upstairs.
There are plenty up there.
I was headed to meet up with Midge again, but along the way, I found the Renteria family. Well, had you ever even heard of this place before?
No.
How far away from this building do you live?
Maybe about a mile or so.
And you never even knew this building existed?
No.
Well, as you've looked around though, what's your feeling about it? Do you have any thoughts?
It's just, it hits home. I mean, it's Mexican feel, you know, and, you know, we're Hispanic, so a lot of it catches our eye.
And it really takes us back to the really earliest days of Los Angeles, right? You can kind of see it and feel it, right? But what was life like for the people that lived here? Well, Midge, who's with the San Fernando Valley Historical Society, she's in the other room. And there are artifacts in there that will sort of show us how people lived.
What we have over in the corner there,
there,
that I
Midge.
want you to
Hi.
look. Oh, hi.
Good to
Nice
see you again.
you
You've got some
too.
visitors here?
Yes,
Hello.
already.
Hey there. My name's Ted.
Hello, my name is Jaden.
Hi, Jaden.
I'm Rashad.
And Rashad. All right, you guys. Well, welcome. Have you guys ever been here before?
No.
You've never been here before.
No, we haven't.
What did you think of when you saw the place for the first time?
It looked really interesting.
Is there anything in particular you liked about the place?
Well, I liked it all.
just like the whole place because you've never seen it before. We were talking out in the other room and we were saying that life back then was a lot different, right,
Oh,
Mitch?
yes, very much so. If you wanted light, you would have looked up this fixture here. There was no electricity. It would have been on a chain. You would have brought it down, and then it was candles, and you'd have to light the candles to have some light. But then you'd want to wash your face early in the morning. You'd have to go outside and you would fill, let's look over here, this bowl and pitcher full of water from the pump outside. And it's much easier to do it at night before you go to bed than early in the morning when it'd be so cold out there. Have you any idea what this is?
No.
Well, it's a bed warmer. You would have actually put the hot coals from the fireplace inside here, bring it upstairs, take the bed warmer, actually pick it up and put it between the quilts. It would warm the bed up pretty good. How do you think you'd like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then how long would you keep it in there?
I would say maybe about an hour.
Did the beds ever catch on fire, do you think?
I think they did, yes. Something else. This is called a melodeon. It's actually a pump organ and a piano keyboard. This is a portable melodeon. The lid comes down, the legs fold up, and it just makes a small box. And then that's a very large pump organ downstairs. The sad thing is that many of them were so heavy that they didn't make it.
When you say they didn't make it, so just imagine you had this beautiful organ, right, Midge? And you brought it from back east. It was a lot of money, and you were hoping to get it out here to establish your new home. You put it on a wagon. You get out somewhere in the desert. Your oxen get a little tired. Your animals can't pull anymore, and you got to throw that beautiful organ out in the middle of nowhere.
Absolutely correct.
Right?
Absolutely correct.
There was one last historical treasure that I'd heard about that was here at the Adobe. It was a trunk that allegedly belonged to one of the West's most notorious outlaws, Tiburcio Vasquez.
This trunk is very important to the Adobe here because he had been a dinner guest of the Pico family. And people would say afterwards, who was that man? And when they said, well, he was the bandit.
So he actually stayed here, from what I
yes,
understand.
that's what we
He would have stayed up here.
He would have. We probably are maybe right where he was at. Isn't that amazing?
That is pretty amazing. And he'd probably be pretty amazed to see that his trunk made it back here.
Yes, that's for sure.
But he is certainly an incredible part of this area's history.
Very much
We have
so.
Vasquez Rocks, where they shoot a lot of movies. It's a county park, I believe, and very distinctive. Apparently it was a hideaway for him. That brings us to this book, Bandito, which was written by John Bosenecker. And so I was thinking that maybe we could get him on the phone, see if John will actually weigh in and maybe tell us a little bit more than we already know.
Hello?
Hello, John.
Yes.
Hi, this is Ted Faye. We just wanted you to weigh in on this and see if you had any thoughts at all about this trunk. And then we'd like to hear what your thoughts are about Vasquez himself.
In 1873, he led his gang on a raid at a small town called Tres Pinos. They killed 3 people during this robbery. And the gang loaded up all the loot into 2 trunks and loaded them in the back of a wagon. And they were pursued by a posse. Then the posse shot it out with Vasquez. And so Vasquez escaped, but he left behind these 2 trunks that were left at a stagecoach stop near Elizabeth Lake. I understand that that trunk did come from that area. So it is conceivable that this is one of the 2 trunks that Vasquez brought after the Tres Pinos raid.
Wow, that's really something, John. Now you guys, do you have any questions or thoughts for Mr. Bosenecker?
How long ago was the basket made?
How old is this trunk?
So I'm guessing it was probably made in the 1850s.
Can you give us your thoughts about Vasquez as a person?
Well, he was a very colorful character. He was a great dancer. He wrote poetry for his female admirers. He played the guitar. He sang. But the dark side of his personality was that he robbed both rich people and poor people. He robbed both Anglos and fellow Hispanics. He was involved in 8 or 10 murders during his career, which lasted more than 20 years. But what makes him significant is that the Latinos in 19th century California considered him a Robin Hood. So the stories about Vasquez were passed around by word of mouth, and he became a folk hero in the Latino community because the Latinos were really oppressed, and when people are oppressed, they'll grasp at anything that gives them hope, even though it might be a notorious outlaw. The real Vasquez was a bad man, but the mythical Vasquez was considered to be a folk hero and a Robin Hood character.
John, thank you so much. It's always interesting how people become larger than life. Want to say goodbye to John, everybody?
John.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. We've had an amazing time getting to know the Adobe, why it's called that, this piece of history that's here, getting to know a little bit about an outlaw that ran all through California and actually touched his trunk. And it's been so great meeting you guys and having this time here at the San Fernando Valley Historical Society. Thanks so much to the city for saving this place. So there's going to be a lot more to explore on the next episode of
History to Go.